based on your okay of giving the waivers for two sewer now, it goes this body right here to ask for a waiver of the lot size requirement, because the lot size requirements are the zoning ordinance says, the subdivision ordinance says that if you don't have community sewer and water, your lot has to be a minimum of 40,000 square feet. So now, if you guys give us a waiver to Ms. Peel, Ms. Peel's gonna file for me to do a lease of it, because these lots don't meet 40,000 square foot. She's gonna be asking for a waiver of the lot size, and for these guys, he's gonna say, well, what's required? And I'm gonna say, well, community sewer and water is required for lots of that size. And they're gonna say, well, what environmental services for the waiver? So I'm gonna say, well, the waiver. Cindy was supposed to get the reg on this copyright, she was discarded. Kind of, set a policy as to how we're gonna handle these things. But it just, they never got together.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Casabon. Pug. Mr. Hines. Mr. Richard. Mr. Willie. Mr. Matthews. Mr. Davis. Mr. Manella. Mr. Mackey. Mr. Randolph. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Public announcements, we have phones and pagers. Please put them on silent or vibrate or turn them off. If you disagree with any of the decisions of the commission, you have the right to appeal it to the council. There are appeal cards over on the banister to my right. Speaker cards are also over on the banister to my right if you wish to speak on any of the cases. If we have any speakers, they will be limited to 10 minutes on each side with a 5-minute rebuttal. And if you want to discuss findings of a case, please exit the building. Don't go out in the lobby because the sound still comes back in. Mr. Randolph, all rise for invocation.
Gracious Lord, once again, we want to thank you for all the blessings you bestowed in our lives. We thank you for this commission. Lord, we thank you for this meeting. Allow us to exercise business in a decent and orderly way for the best interests of the parish. And all these blessings we ask in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Matthews, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In your packet, there was approval or the minutes for our February 13th meeting. You should have had an opportunity to review these. Is there any corrections that need to be made to these? Hearing no corrections, I'll accept the motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved and seconded to approve. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Consent calendar, performance obligations, and entering parish right-of-way. Any items not pulled from the consent calendar are automatically dispensed by vote as approved and are staff comment. Items pulled from the consent calendar shall be discussed and voted upon individually. Staff, do you have any that needs to be pulled?
Yes, sir. We need to pull the two minor subdivision cases under consent calendar. They require waivers. They require waivers from the regulations, so they have to be pulled.
Okay. Any other items? No other items? Ron, you have any other items?
Sorry, no, sir, don't. I do not.
Okay. All right.
I have one.
Okay, Bill.
I'd like to pull the Jafuncta Club Estates.
Okay, did any of the other commissioners have anything they wish to pull? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar, except for those items pulled. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Performance obligation on page 2. Chifuncta Club Estates, filing 2, subdivision, Ward 1, District 1, amount $48,000, expires April 26, 2013. The debtor is TCE Properties, LLC. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Marty Dean. Staff? You have any comments?
I'm looking for it in the packet. The above referenced performance obligation expires April 26, 2013 and is scheduled for review by the Planning Commission at the March 12, 2013 meeting. The work covered by this obligation is construction of the turning lane. The following uncompleted items exist: furnish as-built drawings, furnish asphalt test results. Number 3 is okay. The performance obligation was established by the Planning Commission on the May 13, 2008 and has been extended for 6-month increments since that date. The developer will be advised that he will be required to conform with all current ordinances when applicable as a condition of this extension. The Department of Engineering has no objection to the extension since the turn lane has been constructed and we are awaiting the above mentioned uncompleted items. The developer has been notified by the Department of Engineering January 17th to submit a letter explaining in detail why an extension this time is needed for the obligation. Therefore, it is recommended the performance obligation be extended for a period of 6 months or until the uncompleted items have been furnished.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Mr. Matthews, you pulled that?
Yes, it did. A couple of these things are not all that important, but the asphalt test results concern me that if it has been this long and there are no test results, is there, 1, no testing has been done, or 2, testing has been done and they don't want to send us the results, which means maybe they have bad asphalt or something. But they have been asked to provide information to us as to why these things are still outstanding, and as I understand, we have been again ignored. Is that correct?
We haven't received this information yet. I can't speculate on why.
I can't either, but I can't tell you why, but I can sure speculate. Is there anything we can do to get these people to at least give us a letter saying, gee, we're sorry, or something? I mean, they just seem to ignore us.
We did request a letter, so.
And this is a problem that we continue to have. And what's the answer? Does staff have any suggestions as to what we can do other than just continue to give them 6 months and give them 6 months and give them 6 months?
I don't have a real answer on it. I mean, it seems like the way the law is set up, it kind of ties our hands to some extent, which is what Neil discussed with us in the past.
We've seemed to have discussed this many times and seem to be getting no place.
This expires April the 26th. We will have another meeting prior to April the 26th. Is there any reason this can't be postponed until the April Planning Commission meeting? And at that point in time, Ron or Paul, one of y'all place a phone call to the appropriate people and see if we can get some kind of response?
I hate to do that to the staff.
Well, yeah, I mean, the expiration date, there's enough time for for finance to do something if we needed to, so yeah, we could postpone it.
Okay, but that puts an onus on you guys to make telephone calls on these things, and just one more thing that you guys probably don't need to be doing.
Well, we can send a certified letter. I don't think these letters go out certified or registered, right? They just go out first-class mail?
I believe so, yeah.
What was you like?
Send them a certified letter, but they've ignored, keep ignoring us. We just need something more. We need another tool in our tool bag to do something about these things. I don't know what it is, but the council, somebody needs to give us another tool to put in our tool bag to deal with these things.
You know,
Okay.
I'll make a motion to postpone.
Postpone
I
and
think
we'll
because-
staff to send another letter out, certified, registered mail,
Yeah,
return receipt.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item is under minor subdivisions on page 2, MS 13-02-005, a 71.79 acre parcel into parcels A and B, Ward 5, District 6. Owners W.L. Terrell, MD, surveyor is John E. Bono and Associates, Parish Council District Representative Honorable Richard Tanner. Staff?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, the owner of this property is proposing to create two large lots from one larger parent parcel off of the highway. Excuse me. The E1 estate zoning of the property requires a minimum road frontage of 300 foot for proposed Lot B. If you see it behind the staff board's copy, your survey plat. And the applicant is providing only 101 foot width for said lot on the public road. However, given the fact that the parcel basically is a flag lot and it's outside of our growth urban line area, and it's almost 42 acres in size and opens up in the back to over a minimum 335 foot width, and there are only two parcels involved in the minor subdivision, and also given the fact that the width of the property is all they had to start out with, they didn't have 300 foot of frontage to begin with. The staff has no objections to the waiver request or granting subject to a waiver. And since a waiver of the regulations is required in order to approve this minor subdivision request, if the commission so desires to approve, a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership of the commission constituting 8 members is needed in order to approve pursuant to section 40-100 waiver of regulations of subdivision regulatory ordinance 499.
Thank you. Mr.
Thank
Morone.
you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of Dr. Terrell. I don't have much to add to staff's comments other than to note that the property is located off Old Military Road, and as Ron said, the applicant only has the 101 feet of frontage that is proposed. They've owned the property for many, many years. In their acquisition, that's all they have. We're talking about two very large parcels, and certainly 100 foot of frontage will be more than adequate to give access to those parcels. So with those conditions, we would respectfully request your approval of the waiver this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item? I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Paul, I'm
Yes.
confused, and it's probably my fault, but Lot B and A, I don't see where's the road? Is it this private 9-mile halt? Is that the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's the access drive. That's correct.
Okay, and that looks like that comes up to the property line here and takes a left and goes completely across Lot B? Is that correct?
It is actually part of Lot B. That entire stretch over 2,300 feet or more is part of Lot B. Under the code, the lot, at least one lot, has to have frontage on a public road. That is the frontage, that driveway, but that frontage is only 100 feet wide as it hits Highway 1082 or Old Military Road.
But that's a private road, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It's nothing more than a large driveway.
Okay, where on this map is Old Military Road?
All the way to the right.
All the way to the right-hand side.
Okay, okay, what,
Right here.
all right. What you're saying is this 9-mile halt is actually part of Lot B, the whole, from Military Road all the way to Lot, what shows this kind of, what's it, trapezoid here?
That's correct.
So all of that is part of Lot B?
That is correct.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, Lot B is
I was
really like a
confused.
flag, is a flag lot, so to speak, because that long stretch
Okay.
is part of the lot itself.
Okay, and Lot A does not have to have any frontage at all on the public road?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Casabon?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
We have a motion and a second to approve the waiver. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is MS 13-02-007, a 9.921 acre parcel into parcels A through C, Ward 4, District 5. Owners Mark and Donna Dishon. Surveyor is John G. Cummings and Associates. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Marty Gould. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The owner of the property is proposing to create 3 parcels out of a 9.9 acre parent tract. Proposed parcels which fronts on Strain and South Strain roads, and parcel B, which fronts on Hearn Road, do not meet the parish's minimum road frontage requirement of 150 feet pursuant to the A2 zoning district. However, it should be noted that parcel B does not meet the road frontage requirements due to the fact that the parish road, which is Hearn Road, ties into the property at the southwest corner in a perpendicular orientation, and therefore only affords that property approximately 40 feet of road frontage. However, the property itself is over 260 foot wide from the front to back. Therefore, for that reason, the staff has no objections with the commission grant a waiver for said parcel. Additionally, though parcel A already has approximately 64 foot of frontage on South Strain Road and 101 feet on Strain Road, said parcel is essentially a flag lot which opens up into the west to a 4.963 acre parcel with a width of over 300 feet. Therefore, the staff has no objection to the commission granting a waiver for this parcel as well. Since a waiver of the regulations is required in order to approve this minor subdivision, request a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership of the commission is required in order to approve the variance.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
I'm Mark Dishon, the owner, me and my wife. I don't have anything else to say. He pretty much covered it. We're just trying to put in a private road to subdivide, to give each one of our kids the back 2 parcels, and then we're gonna build on the front parcel. Plain and simple.
Okay. I need to get you to fill out a speaker card too. I don't believe we have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. Just fill it out so that we sure have, record. Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
I have a question. It looks like the part of the flag that comes off of South Strain Road, is that going to be a dedicated right-of-way for the benefit of parcel C?
Yes. It'll be
Okay.
dedicated to C and B as also.
Okay, it doesn't look like you can get on B, but that's going to have to be a dedicated right-of-way for parcel C legally,
Yes.
okay? And just to the staff, it appears that there's 35 foot of access on parcel C. Is that sufficient for ingress and egress?
Yes, sir. Actually, technically, they're only accessing one parcel with a private drive, and under that condition, there is no requirement for a minimum width for the driveway. 35 feet is what we typically would require if they're accessing 2 or more parcels. So they more than meet our requirement for that.
Okay. Subject to that right-of-way being dedicated, I don't have any objection to this, but I'm concerned that we may not wind up with a dedicated right-of-way for that.
Thank you. Ms. Casabon?
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Todd, that was your line, okay. All right, any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries, thank you.
Thank you.
We have no petition to request entering the Tammany trace, nor revocation and closing, or on page 3, we have preliminary subdivision review. SD 05-08-019P, Hidden Creek, Ward 1, and that should be District 3 and not District 1. Developer owner Hidden Creek LLC. Engineer is Meyer Engineers Limited. Parish Council District Honorable Marty Dean. This was postponed at the February 13th meeting at the developer's request. Staff?
The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office and inspections made of the site. It is recommended that preliminary submittal be approved subject to the following. The study shows 53.19 acres of on-site drainage, and comments state that no off-site drainage enters the subdivision. LiDAR appears to show parcels to the north draining into this subdivision. Please explain where these lots drain, if not in Hidden Creek. The weir detail should include a steel reinforcement description or detail. The weir should be keyed into the earthen sides where it crosses the pond berm to prevent washouts. The concrete overflow structure should be reinforced, cast in place concrete to minimize maintenance needs and maintain a specific invert. The detail on the plan should show the invert of the overflow structure. The lot grading plan detail shows a slab, but the hydrologic study states that no fill will be placed and houses will be raised. The conflict needs to be resolved. If a conspan crossing is substituted for the 6 by 20 foot RCB, a detail will need to be approved prior to installation. The culvert calculations appear to use an in-value .012, which is representative of PVC, RCP, or ultraflow, but not the BCCMP specified. A revision is required. An 18-inch RCPA is not the same capacity as a 15-inch RCP. Please revise the plans or hydrologic study to be consistent. Due to adjacent grades along the ditches feeding ponds 1, 2, and 3, these ponds don't appear to be able to stage to the proposed water surface elevations. Water would be lost across lots when the roadside ditches go out of bank. Revision is required. The plat should show a note requiring no net fill is allowed. No net fill calculation should be submitted for the subdivision infrastructure such as roads and the ponds. Positive drainage to the front can't be achieved on some lots as proposed with a swale due to the rear of some lots being below the proposed ditch elevations. A revision is required. A few of the lots don't appear to have roadside ditches deep enough to fit the proposed culverts. Trench grades for inverted driveways may be substituted where culverts won't fit. A revision is required. Maintain a copy of the NOI and the SWIP on site for review during stormwater inspections. Perform stormwater inspections weekly to prevent sediment excursions to Soap and Tallow Creek. The provided boulevard detail doesn't specify radii. It can't be determined if it meets parish requirements. The no outlet sign on Poplar Creek Court does not resolve the issue of driver confusion at the entrance to the subdivision. Striping plan should be provided that shows how drivers will be guided at the entrance to the boulevard area into the continuation of Hidden Creek Boulevard with the intersection of Poplar Creek Court. The area seems like it will be confusing to drivers with no additional guidance of some sort. The MUTCD height and placement requirements do not appear to be on sheet 15 as indicated. Furthermore, they must be located on the same sheet as the signage plan, not on a separate sheet. Since the residence and gravel driveway will not remain, there must be a note indicating that they will be removed. The residence and gravel driveway should appear on all sheets. The USACE permit dated December 19, 2006 and is valid for 5 years. Therefore, the permit needs to be updated. A funded maintenance obligation amount of $10,000 in accordance with subdivision ordinance 499, section 4060-108, funded letters of credit for existing parish roads to ensure repair of any damage to parish roads resulting from construction activity in connection with this subdivision. Mandatory developmental fees will be required at final submittal in accordance with ordinance 499 since no public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005.
Thank you, Paul. Were there any of these items that have been basically taken care of? I mean, this was postponed at the February meeting, and we're 30 days beyond that.
They made a resubmission, and some items were addressed. Some items appear to be a lack of understanding of the previous comments and remain, and some of them obviously weren't addressed.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, sir, please state your name and address.
Matt Filati, Meyer Engineers, 4937 Hurst, Metairie. Yeah, I understand there's a lot of comments. I don't think any of these comments are substantial enough to that we can't get with engineering and address any of these comments. I think all these are capable of being resolved.
Okay. Mr. Davis?
I have some concerns. I mean, we tabled this January 8th, and you suggested tabling on February 13th. So from that time point, none of these items have been addressed?
Well, we received these comments back last week. I haven't even actually gotten an official one. I'm still looking at a draft comment. But nonetheless, we just haven't had time to, since last week to this week, to provide the parish with revisions.
The biggest problem I'm having is, it seems like you have many drainage problems on this piece of property. Obviously, you don't have your permit from USCE is expired.
We've already actually mitigated this piece of property. This subdivision was submitted back in 2007 and 2008. It was actually preliminarily approved at that point. We just, at the time, the developer wasn't ready to move forward. We forgot to ask for an extension, therefore, it ended up, we had to go through the whole process over again, so that's where we're at. The subdivision hasn't changed since 2008, it's the same layout.
On the properties, if I recall, looking at lots 6 and 7, that's the rear of lots 6 and 7 are the only two lots in the subdivision that have flood zone C. Everything else is flood zone A, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're gonna have a no-fill ordinance on all that, correct?
Yes, sir.
So will you be raising these homes?
Well, if you look at those are only lots, no, oh, yes, they're gonna be raised, yes.
Will be raised?
Yes, sir.
I just have a hard problems passing this, but all the stuff's still left to do.
I understand, and that was why we wanted it tabled the last time, but, we, like I said, we just received the comments, March 5th.
Well, I'll tell you, to be fair to everyone here, you know, I think this would not be the third tabling. This would be the second tabling by us and one tabling by request for them. So there's no way that they can go ahead and have this denied, okay? I think I'd like to go ahead and extend this, table it, whatever you want to call it. Defer one more time.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
That way, at least you can get with engineering.
Yeah.
And figure out exactly what you need to do, because this is just way too much stuff. I mean, you almost ran out of the alphabet,
I know. You're right, no, absolutely.
okay?
Jimmy, we've got a couple other folks that would like to
okay.
speak, so if you'll hold your motion.
I'll hold my motion.
Okay. Dale?
Jimmy covered pretty much what I was going after also was the amount of items that are all on that, and a lot of them have to do with hydrological things. And I agree with Mr. Davis about I'd second if he goes ahead and makes the motion to postpone it.
Okay. Ms. Casbon?
Yes, I'm going to be a little more specific. When our staff wants you to explain where these lots drain, if not into Hidden Creek, and on your plans, on one of the notes is a homeowner shall drain each lot, front property, to the front, but side property line swell may be required. At what point in this study will we know where those will need to drain? So we have a lot of questions, and it is on the drainage that we're not sure about, because it is, such a property that we've got to be careful about that drainage. But you're stating that on your plat here, that it may be required. So who will do the requiring, and definitely where is this gonna go?
Well-
To answer our staffs and stuff.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it's an absolute requirement that the lots need to drain from rear to front. Now, each particular lot has its different contour situation, so without specifically putting an elevation on every single lot, the lot owner that has, say, lot 39 on Pearl Creek Court, he needs to absolutely drain from rear to front. Now,
Is
if
that on the plans, is what I'm asking? Will that indicate when they get this, that they know through these plans that we want, that Pacific is engineering, do we have those plans that Pacific?
I believe if you have a drainage plan That should
We
state in there
don't
from,
have-
okay.
I don't have one.
Typically, you know, if they say a lot has drained from back to front,
Right,
when
I
the
know
drainage
that.
inspection's done during construction, the inspector makes sure by some means they do it, whether it's swell or French drain or
Right.
lot grading,
But
whatever's necessary to be done.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, where this, it's just a lot, I agree, it's a lot of things that it seems that our staff does not have when they wanted something
Yeah,
explained.
There's,
I'm
there's
sorry,
a
go
few of those lots that, due to the grade, can't drain from rear to front without a
Uh-huh.
substantial amount of fill, which they're not proposing. That's why I was expecting there's probably going to be a rear ditch in some locations with an easement to show up.
Okay. But this is what I'm saying, I'm hearing probably, maybe, we need to know something specific, and so I concur with the other commissioners. So you
Mr.
want to make
Matthews?
a motion?
I start out with saying yes to all of the above. There are some rather specific problems that I think are more than just you'll get with the staff. The entrance is a real problem. The staff pointed that out. As you come out or into the subdivision on Hidden Creek Boulevard, you kind of don't know where to go, to Poplar Creek, or do you go to the Hidden Creek Boulevard extension up here? You probably need to move Poplar Creek Court to where it joins Hidden Creek Boulevard further to the north, closer to Aspen Creek. Otherwise, you're going to have a real problem here. And putting striping down will help in the beginning, but as the striping wears, then people are going to go back to the problem of not knowing where they're going. Or they're going to go straight and go into Poplar Creek Court when they really want to go down Hidden Creek Boulevard, and vice versa. This is a very, very poor design. It's almost hazardous. I question that this is the first you've seen of it a week ago. It's been tabled once at your request, if not twice at your request. I don't remember in January whether it was tabled at your request or ours, and I think it was yours. But you've tabled it, it's been tabled for 2 months. And staff, have you all not sent them anything except a week ago?
What he's
I find
referring
that-
to is the most recent letter sent to him.
Okay, so,
He's gotten previous letters in the past with comments, some are the same, some are different based on his response to us. Some of the comments were either eliminated or modified.
so what he said was not wrong, but there's more to it. You all have been letting them know for 2 months that there's a lot of work left to be done.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. We just can't pass something in this condition.
Mr. Davis?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this to the next planning meeting.
We have a motion.
And I'll second it.
We have a second to postpone this item until the next planning commission meeting. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Old business. SD 10-06-004 revised, the Village of Normandy Oaks Phase 1 through 5, Ward 1, District 1, developer, owner, Allstate Financial Company, engineer Johnny Bono and Associates, Parish Council District Representative Honorable Marty Dean. Developer is requested to amend the tentative subdivision plat. Staff?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, also on your old business, they'll be also discussing the amendment to the preliminary plan as well. The developer is proposing under tentative to reduce the total number of lots from the original tentative subdivision plat from 161 lots to 85. See submission plat attachment A, which depicts the 85 lots that will be remaining from the tentative original. The acreage to the west and southwest of the 85 lots, which formerly consisted of 51 lots, has been converted into large acreage parcels through the minor subdivision process. See subdivision plat attachment B depicting the lots remaining, and the cross-hatching, which shows the area that is now the minor subdivision for those 5 large parcels. The staff has no objections to the revisions to the tentative plat, subject to an updated traffic impact analysis if required by the Department of Engineering. due to the fact that the property being taken out of the tentative subdivision plat has been rezoned to commercial, thereby potentially affecting the traffic patterns in the area.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Maroon on behalf of Allstate Financial Company. This commission and/or the zoning commission have seen certain facets of this project now for, excuse me, several months. You will recall that we came to you last year to rezone portions of what was part of Normandy Oaks or the village of Normandy Oaks for the healthcare campus and healthcare village concept. We then came back to you as under the minor subdivision regulations to create those parcels that were rezoned. This is now the third leg of that process. And once the property that is the healthcare campus is taken out, we then have our remaining residential lots, but obviously many fewer lots than we originally started with, which necessitated an updating of our preliminary and tentative, which is now before you this evening. We are reducing the lots from 161 down to 60 to make way for the healthcare campus. Our engineer has revised the tentative plan. He has also revised the hydrological study. Those have been submitted, I believe accepted with a few minor corrections that we're in the process of making. With that being said, we would request your approval of the amendment to each. And with regards to the traffic study, we have Mr. Weiner and Mr. Kyle, who is our engineer and is handling the traffic study, has met with engineering and with Ms. Lala to determine how the TIA should be handled. The regulations are, I'll call them a little bit vague on exactly how that should happen. Clearly, we're not going to have an issue with the TIA on the residential portion. We're going from 161 down to 60. That's not an issue. The question becomes, how do we handle the commercial property that is out there now that was a part of the plan? And as you may know, typically with commercial, until you know what the use is, it's difficult to fully study it, and we don't know what the commercial uses are all the time until they go in. So in talking with Ms. Lala, what Mr. Weiner has agreed to do is, rather than waiting for each use to be determined, he is commissioned Mr. Kyle to go forward with a comprehensive study to not only look at what is the impact of going from 161 lots down to 60, which I think we all know what the impact there is, but also to take into account the size and the nature of the commercial lots, and to study that as well on the front end before the building permit stage. So he will be doing that. He will be submitting that to the staff. And obviously, if and when different uses come in, if they are different from what is studied and it requires an update, then that will be handled. But your staff will have a snapshot of what the overall impact is on this property from a traffic perspective before any building permits are let.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morone.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public. Mr. Matthews.
I think, I'll get
First.
Paul, just looking at the drawings between attachment A and attachment B, have you got copies of those?
I have some of the drawings. I'm not exactly sure what attachment A.
Attachment A just shows the 5 lots that are remaining. Attachment B is the minor subdivision that is right.
Okay, yes, sir, Mr. Lorne, I have.
Okay. If you take out the portion of the property that was cross-hatched out for commercial, okay, and you take out the number of lots that were in the original proposal, I'm looking at attachment B, which I assume is the new proposal.
Attachment B illustrates what has been taken out and what remains. Yes.
Okay, but if I'm looking at this, it looks to me like there are actually more lots in the area that was originally designated as residential than there in the after than there was in the before.
I don't think so, because in fact, I think the lots are larger than they were before.
Well, you don't have, the plot that I have doesn't have dimensions on it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Mr. Kyle if I'm incorrect, but I believe that the lots on the revised tentative are actually larger than the lots that were in place prior. Going back, this property was originally zoned A4A. When it was zoned A4A, Mr. Weiner had agreed with the earlier phases of Normandy Oaks to maintain a certain width that was greater than the minimum allowed under A4A. A portion of these lots have been built out. It has become clear to him that really the width that was proposed, even though it was larger, was really not adequate. And so he's enlarged them slightly again. So there should not be any more than there. You may see changing in lot lines, but there should not be any more lots there than was there originally.
Well, just humor me for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Put them where you can look at them side by side. If you look up in the upper right-hand corner, and you start with lot 33 on attachment A, and you count down, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots coming down the side.
Mm-hmm.
And before there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what I'm saying is there's the same number of lots there. It would appear that everything from Normandy Oaks Boulevard north is the same as it was before. But if you look below that, it's got a different configuration and you actually wind up with more lots. If you count down on the before, it's one below Normandy Oaks. Below Normandy Oaks Boulevard, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. And now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. And then you've got the cul-de-sac.
Are you comparing attachments A and B?
Yeah.
Pardon?
That's what he's doing, yes. But it looks like attachment B is actually the old plot and attachment A is the new. Is that correct, Paul?
Well,
Attachment A has the larger parcels south of the actual residential area. And that's what's gonna be, that's the one that you're asking for tonight.
well, they both do. They're just, I think they're the same.
Counting the lots.
They both show the new parcels, except one shows them in the hatched area.
Right, the bold lines are the attachment A. The bold ones on attachment B is actually the attachment A that's remaining.
The bold on B is the same as what you're seeing on A.
The bold
Okay.
is the same.
The grayed out below it is the old one.
Right. Right.
We'll look at the non-bold on A and B. And all I'm asking is it the same configuration?
Yes,
Because mine doesn't go to scale. Mine doesn't have the,
let's see, I don't think I have anything that gives the, does it give dimensions?
what I'm talking about is over
Yeah,
here.
I have a copy of attachment A where I can see some dimensions,
Here's
and
A.
almost all of the
See the
lots
difference?
are 85 feet wide,
This doesn't show up on here.
which is significantly bigger than the minimum under
It cuts
A4A.
off a lot.
I think
Yeah.
is 60, I believe.
So, just looking at the two, it looks like there are more
Paul,
lots
If you
because
look
it's
at,
cut off.
Doug, you square now?
Well,
on
if-
attachment
if Paul
B.
tell- what they're saying is attachment A was cut off in the copy that they gave us,
Okay,
and it didn't show the bottom portion of it. So it cuts off,
Okay,
our information, it cut off a bunch of lots.
okay,
But in B, they show up.
okay, I
Okay,
understand.
see what I'm saying? Okay.
Okay, that would
As long as
explain
you
it.
show me that it's the same configuration lots,
Yes,
all right.
yes.
Okay, that cleared up, folks?
yeah.
Okay, Mr. Matthews?
Oh, just one thing Pug was talking about, it looks on attachment B, you can see like a shadow line of the lots. And I can't read the name of the street. Rue Saint Emilion, lot 72. And 71 and 7. It looks like the bold is moved north.
Oh,
It moved north just slightly.
About half the lot width, it looks like.
Yeah. That's right. If you look at that half cul-de-sac, it did move north just slightly. That's correct.
Okay, so then, well, all of these lots, that other cul-de-sac on Rue Bordeaux, those are all off now, too. Have these lots gotten smaller? Is that the case?
The grayed out area in the background, the grade lines, that's the old subdivision. The bold lines on top is to show you the new lot configuration that we're seeking approval tonight.
Okay,
And it's-
but these lots have gotten smaller?
They've
No,
gotten bigger.
no, they've gotten bigger. They've gotten
Look at
bigger.
attachment
The lots, you can't read your dimensions, but the lots are, generally speaking, a minimum of 85 feet in width. There are
Okay.
some that are a little bit smaller.
Okay.
But they've been increased in width slightly.
Okay, and that really, I guess, is more of the developer's interest than ours as to the exact size of the lots, whether they'll sell or not. You all are going to do a TIA? Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay. And while you haven't pulled building permits, we pretty well know what the intent of these new commercial lots are going to be.
We do, and we know the general square footage and and the most likely users. So we believe that we have a universe of data that will allow us to produce a fairly accurate study.
And I commend you all for going ahead and recognizing that and doing it. It's the right thing to do. I would request personally, I'd like to see a copy of that when it's done,
Sure.
just to review it. I'm not going to review it as an engineer, but as a layman, I'd just like to take a look at it. If you could see that that was done, I'd appreciate it very much.
Certainly.
Mr. Randolph?
Yes, sir. Paul, the document is showing from 161 to 85. In your presentation, you're saying 161 to 60. Am I looking at
Yes, I'm
something?
sorry, I was referring, the 161 to 60 came off of the preliminary staff, the comments from the preliminary revision. On the tentative, I believe you're right, I think it's 161 to 80, yes, correct, 161 to 85. That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on SD 10-06-004?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Matthews to approve, seconded by Mr. Randolph. Please vote.
Thank you.
Motion carries, thank you. Next item is SD 10-06-004P revised, the Village of Normandy Oaks, Phase 2B, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owner is Allstate Financial Company. The engineer is John E. Bono and Associates. Parish Council District Representative Honorable Marty Dean. Developer is requested to amend the preliminary subdivision plat. Staff?
The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office and inspections made of the site. It is recommended that The amended preliminary submittal be approved subject to the following. Revised culvert calculations will be submitted. Add the following comments in the most recently revised drawing. All signage shall be type 3, high intensity in accordance with MUTCD guidelines. The existing maintenance obligation in the amount of $15,000 will remain in effect for this amendment. No mandatory developmental fee is required at final submittal in accordance with Ordinance 499 since the developer has an existing voluntary developmental agreement for Normandy Oaks subdivision.
Thank you. Paul, do you have any comments on this one? Or your comments on the other one apply to this one as well?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We went through really both configurations in our discussions on the last case.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, Ms. Casabon,
I was just gonna make a motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a
Second.
second. Mr. Randall, no, it's, Dave.
Yes, I just want to make sure on this one too. This one says 161 to 60 lots. Is that a typo? Is that a typo? Under the preliminary subdivision staff analysis, is this a type that goes from 161 to 85 to 161 to 60 on this one?
Yeah, well, the original preliminary was also, I believe, a master plan that had 161 lots. And this particular preliminary, which is Phase 2B of that master preliminary plan, it constitutes 60 lots.
I'm a little confused.
When you go through tentative, you do a master plan for all the lots in the subdivision.
Right.
Most of the cases, preliminary, you do the same thing. Then when you come in later date, sometimes you'll go back to preliminary and you'll phase it in 2B, 2C, 2D, whatever you want to do it.
Right.
The original preliminary was 161 lots.
The larger number includes Phase 1, which is already built out.
Okay. It's just that the very last page in my pamphlet, again, references 161 lots to 85 lots. So that's why I'm a little confused.
Tentative was originally 161, and preliminary, when they filed, was also 161, when they originally filed for preliminary.
All right.
Mackey.
Yes, for staff, Paul, all these, about every one of these culvert calculations have to be done, huh? Redone?
When the lots are relocated or the streets are relocated, yes, the culvert calculations need to be redone.
Okay. You don't see any other problems emanating from this modification? Huh?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Matthews.
Paul, how many lots are we going to have as of today?
Including Phase 1 or excluding Phase 1?
Well, we're here dealing with Phase 2, is that correct?
Phase 2B.
Okay. How many lots are going to be in Phase 2B?
Well, let's see, I don't want to speak. The total lots in the village of Normandy Oaks is the 85.
Okay.
That's correct. Of that 85, some of them are already constructed and are already in, and that's Phase 1. But the total in the villages of Normandy Oaks is the 85.
Okay, but we're dealing with 60 lots on Phase 2B, 2A, what is it?
We are dealing with 60, I don't have my notes in front of me, but 60 in Phase 2.
Okay. So in fact, what we're going to give preliminary approval, if in fact we do, will be on 60 lots.
That's correct.
Now, are those lots that are shown on that map we were confused about?
It is.
Attachment B?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 60 lots in there, not counting the commercial.
That's correct.
We have 60 residential lots.
I believe that's correct.
As shown on attachment B in the previous case.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, just trying to get it
I
straight.
understand. It's a little confusing.
I think we were all confused
I
a little bit.
understand.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second on this. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Any new business? Do I hear a motion?
Just real quick,
Wait a minute.
is the commission happy with what we did tonight, doing the little
Yes, I just,
supplemental thing? Everything
thank you.
fine? Okay.
That's where we were trying to go.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank you.
continue.
Thank you. Motion adjourned. Paul? Paul?